On February 28, 2026, at the break of dawn, explosions ripped across Tehran, the capital of Iran. What you're about to hear, the uncertainty, the retaliation, the global tension, it all began February 28, 2026. And it may redefine the balance of power in the Middle East for a generation. In a strike that stunned intelligence agencies, world leaders, and millions watching in real time. The United States, alongside Israel, targeted and killed Iran's most powerful leader. Not a field commander, not a militia chief, the supreme leader himself. This is how it happened. Just before dawn, Tehran was quiet. The streets were nearly empty. The call to prayer had not yet echoed across the skyline. A cold stillness hung over the city. Then flashes in the sky. Air defense systems roared to life. Residents woke to the sound of explosions echoing across the capital. Windows rattled, car alarms screamed, social media feeds flickered to life. Within minutes, smoke was rising over key compounds in northern Tehran. This wasn't random. This wasn't symbolic. This was precision. Radar operators reportedly saw incoming signatures only seconds before impact. Electronic interference blanketed certain frequencies. Command channels experienced sudden disruption. The strike lasted less than a minute, but its consequences would last far longer. At the center of the strike was one man, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. For more than 3 decades, he sat at the top of Iran's power structure. Presidents answered to him. Military commanders answered to him. Intelligence services answered to him. He controlled the armed forces. He shaped nuclear policy. He defined Iran's regional strategy in Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, and beyond. He wasn't just a leader. He was the system. Under his authority, Iran expanded its missile program, strengthened proxy networks, and navigated crushing international sanctions. He survived internal unrest, international isolation, and shifting global alliances. For years, targeting him was considered unthinkable. Too destabilizing. Too provocative. Too dangerous. Assassinations in the region had happened before, scientists, militia leaders, covert operatives, but the supreme leader, that crossed a line few believed would ever be crossed. In the months leading up to the strike, tensions had been rising sharply. Missile exchanges in disputed zones, drone incidents over contested waters, escalating confrontations involving regional proxies. Behind closed doors, intelligence agencies were watching closely. Patterns of movement, encrypted communications, changes in security posture, a temporary relocation to a secure compound. A rare window began to open. And windows like that don't stay open for long. Military planners reportedly debated the risks for weeks. Would the strike trigger all-out war? Would it unify factions inside Iran that were previously divided? Would it draw in global powers? But advocates argued something else. Deterrence had eroded, red lines had blurred, and in geopolitics, hesitation can be interpreted as weakness. This was not a battlefield strike. This was what military planners call a decapitation operation. The objective: remove the head, disrupt the command structure, shock the system. In the early hours, assets moved into position, some visible, some not. Cyber operations reportedly preceded the physical strike, degrading air defense coordination. Surveillance confirmed presence. Final authorization was given. Precision-guided munitions were launched. Air defenses were neutralized in seconds. And in less than a minute, the compound was hit. Secondary explosions followed, likely fuel stores, communications nodes, or defensive munitions igniting in the aftermath. Communications in parts of Tehran flickered, then went dark. For hours, uncertainty filled the air. Iranian state media initially reported an incident. Foreign intelligence agencies scrambled to confirm. Markets reacted before governments did. Then confirmation came. Ayatollah Khamenei was dead. The reaction was immediate. Iran declared national mourning. Black banners were raised across cities. Military units were placed on maximum alert. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps mobilized, missile units repositioned, naval patrols increased in the Persian Gulf. Within hours, retaliatory missiles were launched toward U.S. and allied positions in the region. Air defense systems activated across neighboring countries, sirens wailed in multiple capitals. Oil markets surged overnight. The Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most critical energy choke points, became a global pressure point. Nearly a fifth of global oil shipments transit through those narrow waters. Any disruption there reverberates worldwide. Shipping insurers spiked rates, tankers hesitated, global stock indices dipped. Diplomats scrambled. War rooms filled. Emergency sessions convened at the United Nations. The world held its breath. This is different. Targeting a senior commander is one thing. Targeting the top political and religious authority of a sovereign nation is another. Leadership vacuums are volatile. They can fracture a regime, or they can harden it. Iran's political system has succession mechanisms, but they are complex and heavily influenced by internal power dynamics. The assembly of experts must appoint a successor. The Revolutionary Guard holds enormous sway. Clerical factions compete quietly but intensely. Now Iran faces a critical question. Who takes control? How quickly? And how forcefully will they respond? Because in geopolitics, perception matters as much as power. If retaliation is too weak, deterrence erodes. If retaliation is too strong, escalation spirals. And once escalation begins, it rarely follows a straight line. This wasn't just a strike. It was a message, a signal that lines once considered untouchable are no longer off limits. That precedent will ripple far beyond Iran. Rival powers are watching. Allies are recalibrating. Military doctrines are being quietly updated. Because if supreme leaders can be targeted, no position is truly insulated. Regional actors may accelerate missile programs, cyber capabilities may expand, security protocols for heads of state may change permanently. And then there's the nuclear question. Does this slow Iran's nuclear ambitions? Or accelerate them? Some analysts argue the strike could disrupt coordination and create internal paralysis. Others warn it could remove moderating influences and empower hardliners who favor rapid escalation. Supporters argue it was a decisive move, one that could re-establish deterrence and demonstrate capability. Critics warn it risks unifying factions, accelerating weapons development, and inviting asymmetric retaliation across multiple theaters. Cyber attacks, proxy strikes, maritime disruption, targeted operations abroad. The battlefield may not be confined to one region. Because modern conflict is layered, military, economic, informational, all intertwined. In less than 24 hours, one of the most powerful and controversial figures in the Middle East was removed from the geopolitical chessboard. The strike was precise, calculated, decisive. But whether it brings stability or unleashes something far more unpredictable is a question that history will answer. Will this fracture the regime from within, or solidify it against a common external enemy? Will deterrence be restored, or has a new era of escalation begun? History will judge, but history often takes years to reveal its verdict. If you want our next deep dive on how Iran is likely to respond, what this means for global energy markets, and whether this could escalate further, make sure you're subscribed. And tell us in the comments, was this a strategic necessity or a dangerous escalation? Because this story is far from over.